you're travelling in the Highlands after dark and the night urges company, be careful what you wish for. Because if a beautiful woman dressed in green steps out of the mist and asks you to dance, your first dance with her could be your last. I'm James, this is Mythic Tides. This time we look at the so-called Scottish vampire, the Baobhan Sith. The supernatural tradition of the Scottish Highlands is a vast and intricate tapestry woven from Celtic belief, Norse influence, and the lived reality of a land both beautiful and unforgiving. Within this folklore, few figures are as unsettling or as revealing as the Baobhan Sith. Often described as the vampire fairy of the Highlands, she is not a creature of shrieks and shadows. She is courteous, she is beautiful, and she kills. Not by force at first, but by invitation. The Baobhan Sith does not stalk graveyards or ruined towers. She appears where men feel safe, by firelight, in song, in celebration. Her stories were not written down by judges or priests, but passed quietly between hunters and travellers who knew that the Highlands were never empty, and never entirely kind. The name Baobhan Sith comes from the Scottish Gaelic. The word beeve refers to a dangerous woman, a witch, or what some sources describe as fairy fury, a being of violent supernatural force. The term she places her amongst the fairy folk, the people of the mounds, powerful beings who exist beside the human world rather than beneath it. Unlike the banshee, who foretells death through lamentation, the Baobhan Sith delivers it herself. She is not undead, she is not a ghost, she is a consummate predator, a fairy exquisitely adapted to feeding on the living. The label vampire is a later one, applied by 19th and 20th century folklorists. Early collectors did not require the term. They described a being who hunted by night, fled by dawn, and sustained herself on human blood. The name came later. The behaviour was already there. At first glance, the Baobhan Sith appears entirely human, a young woman of striking beauty, pale of skin, long of hair, dressed most often in green, the colour of the fair folk, a colour long considered dangerous for humans to wear. This beauty is not incidental. It is a glamour, the fairy art of persuasion, which clouds judgment and dulls instinct. Men do not fail to see the danger because it is hidden, but because it is made to seem harmless. Beneath the illusion lies the truth. Under her skirts, the Baobhan Sith does not possess human feet. One Highland account records the moment of recognition with chilling simplicity. Her feet were not like human feet, but like the hoofs of a deer. Those who notice this detail may live. Those who do not, do not. Some later Highland literary traditions extend her powers further. In these tellings, the Baobhan Sith may take the form of a raven or crow, birds long associated with death and battlefields, or, more rarely, a wolf, emphasising her nature as a hunter of the Glens. These traits are not universal, nor are they central to the earliest accounts, but they reinforce a consistent truth. The Baobhan Sith belongs to the wild, not the grave. The Baobhan Sith does not ambush her victims, she waits for them to invite her. Her prey are most often hunters or travellers sheltering overnight in remote places. She appears alone or with companions, offering laughter, conversation, and dance where none was expected. Once the dancing begins, it does not end. Legs weaken, breath shortens, time itself seems to loosen. And when the moment comes, her delicate fingers lengthen into talons, sharp enough to slit a throat or tear open the chest. She drinks the blood as it flows. She has no fangs. This is not elegance, it is necessity. This is not the hunger of the grave, but of the forest. 4 young men were hunting deep in the Highlands when night overtook them. The hills closed in early, the light failed, and the wind came down from the corries, sharp enough to bite through wool. With no hope of reaching home, they took shelter in a Shieling, a low stone hut barely more than a refuge against the dark. They built a fire, they ate, they drank, and as men do when labour is finished and the night stretches long, they began to sing. One of them played a simple rhythm while the others danced in the firelight. Shadows leapt across the wall. Beyond the door, the moor fell silent. Then one of the men laughed and spoke a careless wish, the sort that should never be said aloud at night. If only there were women here to dance with us. The words had scarcely left his mouth when there came a knock at the door. 4 women stood outside, tall, pale, beautiful, dressed in long green gowns. They smiled as though invited, as though expected. Without question, the hunters welcomed them inside. The dancing began again. It went on far too long. Legs burned, breath failed, sweat cooled on the skin. Still the women did not tire, their smiles never faded. The fire sank low, and time itself seemed to be forgotten. Only the musician noticed the blood. It darkened the earth floor, and when he looked down, truly looked, he saw beneath the green skirts not feet, but the cloven hoofs of deer. He fled. The women screamed then, not in surprise, but in fury, and pursued him into the night. He ran until his lungs tore and threw himself amongst the horses outside. The women came no further. Iron, in Highland belief, was not merely metal, but intrusion, a substance the fair folk could not abide, as it belonged to a newer, louder world than their own. They circled him until dawn, pleading, mocking, promising mercy. But the iron in horses' hoofs held them back. When the sun rose, they were gone. Inside the Shieling, the 3 dancers lay dead, their throats cut, their chests torn open, their blood gone into the earth. The people of the Glen named the killers plainly Baobhan Sith. Another tale is told in the Highlands. MacPhee was travelling with companions when weather drove them into a cave for the night. As darkness settled, the men spoke idly and talk turned foolish. One by one they wished aloud for female company. MacPhee did not. When pressed, he said he only wished his wife to remain safe at home, asleep in her own bed. Before the fire burned low, the women came. They entered without fear, beautiful, silent, and the attack was swift. But MacPhee was not alone. At his side was his black dog. Where the men froze in enchantment, the dog did not. With a snarl, it hurled itself at the women, snapping and tearing, driving them back towards the cave mouth. Stone rang, the women shrieked like animals cornered. By dawn, they were gone. MacPhee lived. The dog did not. Some say it died of its wounds as the sun rose. Others say it returned wrong, and MacPhee was forced to kill the creature that had saved him. Either way, he survived not through strength or desire, but through restraint, and through loyalty paid for in blood. At the heart of nearly every Baobhan Sith tale lies the same mistake, the unguarded wish. In Highland belief, the night was a dangerous hour, when the boundaries between worlds grew thin. To speak a desire aloud after dark, without invoking protection, was to invite the unseen to answer. The hunters do not stumble upon the Baobhan Sith, they summon her. In the Highlands, hospitality was not politeness, but survival. A traveller who came to your door was owed fire, food and shelter. The Baobhan Sith perverts this sacred contract. She arrives not as a stranger in need, but as a friend, and kills only after she is welcomed. Many scholars have read the Baobhan Sith as a reflection of fear and desire, anxiety surrounding attraction, autonomy, and unknown woman behind village and kin. She is the fatal woman in her most primal form, beauty without safety, invitation without mercy. The Baobhan Sith does not stand alone. Across cultures, the same figures appear again and again. In Japan, Yuki-onna drifts from the snow to lure travellers into the cold. In the Caribbean, La Diablesse walks the roadside, beautiful and smiling, until a cloven hoof or a skull-like face is revealed. Among Native American nations, deer woman dances to draw men away from the village. In ancient Greece, Lamia waits at the crossroads of desire and destruction. The names change, the landscapes change, the pattern does not. And in the Highlands, the night still listens. So if you ever find yourself there after dark, when the fire has burned low and the hills have gone quiet, and you feel the need for company in the silence, remember this: once the dance begins, it does not end. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, and if you've got something to say about the Baobhan Sith, leave a comment. I'm James, this is Mythic Tides. I hope to see you again soon.